Hi, Gabrielle here from mypizzatoppings.com. So today I'm working with eggplant, and what I've done is I've cut up the eggplant into cube-sized pieces. I've cut up some roasted red peppers, which I just got at the store. I bought them. I got them in a jar, and I cut them up and added them to the mix. I also have onions and garlic in here, and then it's topped with balsamic vinegar, olive oil, and maple syrup. Just enough so there's liquid roaming around in the bottom here, and it really doesn't matter how much. I just for all of them. And then the last ingredient was cayenne pepper, and I'm going to add a little salt as well. If you don't like spicy, don't put the cayenne pepper in. It does spice it up, definitely. But I love the sweet and spicy, especially with the maple syrup. Because I'm from Vermont, I sweeten a lot of things with maple syrup. It's part of our culture. It's part of our economy. So I use a lot of maple syrup. What I'm going to do with this is bake it for probably a half an hour to 45 minutes. I can tell that it's done because it will look finished. It will be, the vegetables will be soft, and the color will change, and I'm going to pull it out and show you what that looks like. Remember that when you're cooking intuitively, you are using your senses, and one of those senses is your eyes. And so I'm going to pull that out. That's how I tell when it's done. I don't have a specific time when it's done. It depends on how the eggplant is cut that particular time, and you know, you can't tell. I've got the oven on 400. So I'm going to cook that up, and then I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. The way that I usually use this, the best way, the first way that I learned to use it and the best way that I learned to use it was to cut up some French bread, cook it up in the oven, just to toast it a little bit so it's kind of hard or crunchy a little bit. And then I put goat cheese on top of that, and then the eggplant dip on top of that. And it is so good. I have also used it to put on pasta, and I also have used it as a pizza topping in a number of different ways. I've used it as the pizza sauce, where I just put this as a sauce instead of any sauce, and then cheese on top. I've also put goat cheese on the bottom with cheese, and then this on the top. So I've used it in a number of different ways, and it's good every single time. It makes a great appetizer if you're going somewhere and you want to bring something. A lot of times this makes a great app to bring. You make all the little pieces of bread ahead of time with the topping on there and the goat cheese, and people eat it. And if you don't like eggplant, or you're cooking for people who don't like eggplant, this is a great dish because it doesn't taste a lot like eggplant, and it's really good. There's a lot of other flavors. So I'm sticking this in the oven for as long as it needs, and I will show you what it looks like when we come. Okay, I'm back, and I checked the eggplant dip, and so I wanted to show you something because I used my eyes to figure out what I needed to do with this, and I wanted to make sure that I showed you without, I didn't want to leave you out of this step because something happened while you were gone. So when I checked this, I could see that the eggplant was getting a little bit dry on the top. And this is a step I usually do, but I had forgotten about it. So when I opened it up and saw that it was a little bit dry, all I'm going to do, there's lots of liquid in the bottom. I'm just going to mix up the liquid in there, okay, so that it gets on the top, just gets mixed around a little bit. So the dry stuff I sort of mixed onto the bottom, and the other stuff gets mixed in. And then I'm just going to throw it back in there. It's totally not finished yet. It's not even close, but it's just something I noticed when I opened it up. So I'm going to put it back in there, and then I'll come back and show you when it's done. It's been about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. So that's how long it's been cooking. I'm going to put it back in there, and I'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so the eggplant dip is ready, and I'm just going to show you what that looks like so you can see. how dark it needs to get. It needs to be pretty dark. And you know, I would say you probably can't cook this too long, but you can definitely cook it too short. There's nothing worse than raw eggplant or uncooked eggplant. So you want it to be cooked as much as possible. But when it gets dark like this, when it's really dark, you're in a good spot. It's as if the maple syrup and the balsamic vinegar have really soaked up into the eggplant. And so it looks really dark. And then you're done. First of all, eggplant, this dish with eggplant freezes wonderfully. So if you don't have a lot of time or you need to make something ahead, you know, when you meal plan, think about that and store it up. Cook on a Sunday when you have a little extra time, or, you know, over the weekend when you have some time left over, maybe you have kids around the house who can help you cook. So take a couple hours. That took about an hour total, maybe a little bit longer, to cut everything, put it all together, and then cook it. So maybe an hour and 15 minutes for that particular dish. And you can keep it keeps forever in the freezer, but you can also keep it's one of those dishes that gets better as it sits in itself. So if you put it in the fridge for a week, it'll taste really good at the end of the week. So it's something that you can make ahead. It's something that you can freeze. And if you have a really busy existence, a big family, a busy family, then time is really of the essence. And it's really easy to get sucked into eating out a lot or stopping at McDonald's on the way home from practices. And if you have food ready to go, if you do a little meal planning ahead of time and put your food in the fridge for later in the week or freeze it for later in the week, it can make a really big difference in terms of what your family's eating. So this is a good one to go in the freezer or to go in the fridge for a period of time. So I recommend it for that, as well as bringing it to a potluck as an appetizer or something like that. Alrighty, enjoy it.